but I know that you had your fair share of struggles. Walk us through that a little bit.
I've been brought to tears thinking about how much I love him.
But I'm not responsible for keeping track of those anniversaries, Ethan. Welcome back to another episode of Welcome to Medins. I can't tell you how excited I've been. Two of my siblings have approached me completely approached by myself and they've been like, hey, let's record a couple episodes of the podcast. And so the other day, Debra texted me and said, hey, I have a couple topics I'd love to be able to talk about on the family podcast. Could we do that? I was like, definitely. I will rearrange whatever I got to do so that way we can make this happen. And so today we have Debra.
Yeah.
And it's been a little while, Debra. I think the last episode we had you on was back before you were engaged.
Well, no, the last episode I was on, I think it was the first one of the second. It was like the first one after there was a break with everyone.
Yeah.
But the last one that I was the main character in, was before I was engaged and before I was even dating.
That's true. And now, look at you now.
Look at me now.
Just a few episodes into Welcome to Medins, and she's already an engaged woman.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All we needed was this podcast.
And here it is. It's working out for all of us in different ways. Well, Debra, why don't you give us a quick little update just about what's gone on in your life since last time everyone talked with you with Michaela, Morgan.
I think it was just Michaela and Morgan.
Yeah, just Michaela and Morgan.
Yeah, Hannah was lame. One of my other friends.
No, Hannah.
I don't think Hannah B is gonna watch this. So. We'll see.
I'll just get a comment. I wanted to be there, Debra, but I had a job or something like that. Yeah. But what's been going on in your life?
Since the last time, I think it was, how long have I been in a relationship? It must have been 2 years. Have we been doing this for 2 years?
A little over 2 years, yeah.
Okay, so that was 2 years ago. Well, I got into a relationship. My first official relationship.
And the only relationship.
Yep. And we dated for a little over a year and then got engaged and now planning a wedding in July and looking at apartments and we're moving.
And you're bringing your dog with you, hallelujah.
And I'm bringing Louie with me. Yeah, I would not leave my child. He is my whole world. I got him a month before Ethan and I started dating. And the best 2 months of my life. Sometimes, though, Louie was just everything I needed and more. I love Ethan. He's brought me a lot of joy, too.
I think Louie errs more on the more than necessarily needed.
Oh, my goodness, yes. The best. He was a gift from my parents, and I've been brought to tears thinking about how much I love him and how he was the best gift I've ever gotten. So
I'm glad he's a gift for somebody.
So he's coming. He is coming with us, yes.
And I am very excited for that day. And then we'll just have Lucy, who is too old to get into trouble now, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. She knows how old she is, so she kind of does whatever she wants now. And she knows she's not going to get in trouble.
That's true. She kind of makes me think of one of those old women who know they're an old woman and they know that they can get away with whatever they want.
Yeah, she'll just walk around the house on her own. Yeah, and I'm like, ma'am.
Shows up in the kitchen. You're like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm eating. Leave me alone.
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Slowly escort you back because it takes forever with your arthritic knees and paws.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you had mentioned was talking about kind of the journey of being a single Christian woman. Mm-hmm. And what that was like, both in its, difficulties as well as maybe the parts where it was nice. If there were any parts when it was nice.
No, there weren't.
Okay. Simpler time. But I'd love for you to be able to talk with us more about that and how you handled that. I think you handled it more gracefully than I handled being single way back in the day. But I know that you had your fair share of struggles as well. Mm-hmm. So walk us through that a little bit.
Well, I feel like being a Christian and a woman, being single is very daunting, and you're looking forward to being married. And when you're single, you're like, I just need to get married. Like, once I get married, life will be good. Like, I just need to be married. And then you look at everyone else that's in a relationship and married, and you're like, why is that not me? Like, why? I just want it so bad. So yeah, I wanted to talk about it because of that. I was single for 24 years of my life, I think. I keep thinking I'm 26. I'm not 26 yet, but when people ask me, like, how old are you? Or I'm, like, talking about my age, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm 26, so I'm not 26 yet.
I still
like
think
I
I'm
am.
like 27 years old.
I just think I'm 23. I don't remember 23 being, like, an amazing year, but in my head, I'm just 23. Except for, I guess, when I keep saying I'm 26. But, yes. So I got into my first relationship, my only relationship, when I was 24. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds right to me.
I think I was 24.
But I'm not responsible for keeping track of those anniversaries, Ethan.
No, I was 24 because Ethan was 21. So yeah, I was 24.
Just a young pup.
So, yeah, I like him young apparently. But yeah, at least in our family, all of this is from, like, my perspective. None of this is, I'm not speaking for anybody else, just from my perspective. In our family, being married is, like, so everyone wants to be married. It's like our parents really want all of us to be married. That's what they shoot for.
That's true.
So
and they got married really young. And so
Yeah.
to me, like, my perspective on the, like, growing up is you get married between the ages of, like, 19 and 21.
Yeah.
Because that's the age that mom and dad got married at. And so I was like, well, clearly that's how it's supposed to happen for all of us.
Yeah.
And then here, I think you and myself are the ones who got married technically the oldest.
How old were you?
I was 25.
Okay, so I'm going to be the oldest because I will be 26.
I wasn't going to rub that in. But, like, I thought you get married young, you do, like, a couple years of college together, you graduate, and then, like, you just kind of go into life. That was my whole expectation, and man, was that ever thrown off.
I think it was in high school. Ever since I knew what weddings were or boys, like, that was all I thought about. Weddings and boys. And so I thought I was going to be married by, like, 21 and have kids by, like, 22, 23. And, like, I knew I had to go to college, but I never thought about, like, a career. I was like, I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I don't need to go to college for something that's going to make money. So I was shell-shocked when I had to work. But
It
yeah.
was like, I went to college just to get the document. I didn't anticipate actually having to do anything.
Yeah. What? Work? So yeah, I thought I was going to be married really young and have kids really young. I did tell Ethan, though, that we need to have at least one kid before I turn 30. So
I mean, if you do
We'll check
anything like
back
me
in.
and Mikla, you have all of them by the time you're 30.
Yeah. But yes, between the three girls, Catherine, Sarah, and I feel like I was the boy crazy one. And I always thought, like, oh, I'll date before them. They don't talk about boys. I don't see them flirting with boys. I'll be the first one to date.
I honestly kind of thought that too.
Yeah. And I was the last one.
And you knew, like, tons of guys. So a lot of your years were spent in Switzerland, and you knew a ton of guys. I remember when I went over there after you and Daniel had started going to school, and you just had, like, this couple of friends that were girls, and then just this list of dudes that I had to meet. One of my favorites, Nikos.
Yeah, I love Nikos.
Why isn't Wisconsin the capital of America? Like, I don't
don't
even know. But a little inside joke. Maybe that doesn't make sense for the podcast. Whoops, podcast faux pas. You better watch this, Nikos. And so I was thinking, like, all of these boys are probably just, like, waiting hand and foot on Debra to eventually get the title of boyfriend. And I think you just like, not you.
I just knew, well, one, like living in Switzerland, like if I dated somebody, the chances of us staying together, slim to none. Like that type of long distance, probably not. But I also knew that I didn't want to date in high school because the odds of the two of you ending up together are so slim. Which is funny because actually two of my close friends are married to their high school sweethearts. But I just knew that I didn't handle or wouldn't handle heartbreak well.
I think all of us knew that.
Yeah, I experienced somewhat heartbreak like in middle school, early high school. The guy that I had a huge crush on obviously didn't work out. And I was pretty sad about that. So I was just like, if I can avoid heartbreak at all cost, I'm going to do that. So yeah, I did not. We also had a rule that we couldn't date till we were 16.
That's true.
So
and
that
I think
also
it
helped.
mostly worked for all the girls. Yeah.
I think so. But yeah, so I just didn't want to date in high school because I didn't see the point in it. But I also just loved flirting. So
You are a pretty big flirt.
I love, if teasing was a love language, probably I love being teased. I love giving it right back.
And
So
if flirting was a sport, she could go to the Olympics, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and like teasing and flirting like hand in hand, I feel like. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I loved flirting in high school. I don't know why I was friends with a lot of guys. It
was the same when you got to college. Like,
Yeah.
I remember there being a ton of guys that, again, I had to go meet. And not because it's like, hey, I'm looking at this guy, but like we'd come and visit you and it'd be you with all your friends there. Very counter to my college experience where I had one friend. I had like one super close friend and some other guys I was friends with as well. And I came out of it and I had barely talked with any of them. You still talk with a lot of your friends.
Yep.
But so you didn't date anyone throughout high school and for the reasons that you had mentioned.
Mhm.
And you kind of had a little bit of heartbreak in middle school.
I don't know if you got that. That's
Well, like, I don't know, middle school disappointment or something, but you dealt with a different kind of heartbreak.
Yeah.
That it wasn't the end of a relationship which you had really hoped had gone somewhere. It was almost kind of the absence of.
Mhm.
And so you're almost 5 years beyond when you thought you'd get married. And like, I remember being single, like that extra 5 years, those were not short years. They dragged on. And like Debra had mentioned, we had having a big family. We had family Christmases, Easters, Thanksgivings, 4th of July parties, Super Bowl parties, and countless like family gathering things where, like you wake up and you're the only one not in a relationship.
Singles fest, Thanksgiving morning, Christmas morning.
Yes.
Singles fest.
Valentine's Day, # Singles Awareness Day. And I hated every single one of those things.
They only really started getting hard. I'd say the last like 2 or 3 years that I was single, but also like I didn't struggle being single. Like when I was in college, I was totally fine. Like I had some times where I was like, why not? Like, why can't I? Nothing's working out. Like things that like it, you look at someone and you're like, okay, you're great. You come from a great family. Love your family. You'll do. I just really want to be in your family. And it just didn't work. And you're like, well, I come from a good family. I'm a pretty great person. Like, why isn't this working? And then you go down that rabbit hole and you're like, woe is me. And you're like, nobody likes me. And then you're also like, well, I've turned some people down. So why is it the people that I don't want a relationship with that are pursuing me, and the people that I do want a relationship won't pursue me. Like, is there something about me? But there can't be something about me because other guys like me. And then you go on another like spiral and you're like, well, was I just blind? Like, should I have tried with that guy? Because he did treat me really well. And he like, some things that he said about like, more about his character, like I really like that. So why didn't I pursue him like that? Like, am I dumb? Should I have done that? And then it's just a spiral. You go down a deep spiral.
How did you deal with those spirals? And like come out every day to go to work, show up for like all the things that we volunteer with at church, and then also just even show up for family holidays. How'd you manage that, and how would you recommend to someone who's dealing with that how to get through it in a way that like you have hope at the end of the day?
I am always look at it as this isn't a feeling that's going to last forever. This is a feeling that's right now. And once I go to sleep and I wake up, it'll be a new day and I'll get out of it. Like it's not going to be on my head 24/7. So tomorrow's a new day. I just need to make it through tonight. If I can just make it through tonight, I'll be fine. But also, like, I can see that, like, look, and I knew then, I'm mostly speaking about, like, the last 3 years that I was single, which had, like, I think at that point, everyone was either married, in a serious relationship, or about to get married. And so then it was, like, very much single. You're the only single one. And that's when Thanksgiving Single Fest and Christmas morning Single Fest got real bad. I was not always the happiest person, and I was definitely a love hater.
I do recall a few very aggravated looks I would see from you.
Yes. But, like, in my defense,
You
knew the feeling. You knew the feeling.
Yes, I did.
And I feel like a lot of the siblings knew, like, if I were in her shoes, I would probably feel the same way. So, like, let's just give her some space and let her go through those feelings.
Give her some ice cream and Netflix. She'll be fine.
And pray for her in the background. Which I actually found out. It was really sweet. Every New Year at High Point, our church, my church,
just rubbing it in.
we do a worship night, and they have us write down our top 5 goals for the year. And Catherine and Tyler had put my happiness on their top 5 goals. I don't know if they did that a number of years, but I know they did that, I think, the year before Ethan and I started dating. I thought that was so sweet.
And honestly, you're about, I mean, you already have, but I mean, like, you're about to solidify an awesome guy that I'm very excited is joining our family. But before getting to that, how about like praying for your future spouse? Did you do that? What was that kind of like? Did that help?
Yes, and yes. I'm just very stubborn, and so again, the last
She's not lying.
Not lying. The last, which can be a strength, okay?
Remember that, Ethan.
It can be a strength. The last, I'll say 3 years, where I was dealing with with like being depressed and a lot of other stuff. So there were a lot of moving pieces in my brain. And so like mom and dad would really push me to pray for my significant other and with them every night. And I was being so stubborn and very much over everyone's advice and opinions on my singleness. I was like, guys, I'm single. What's the big deal? Like, it's fine to be single. Can everyone stop focusing on it? Like, can you talk about something else about me besides my singleness? So I did pray with mom and dad. Not as much as mom and dad wanted me to pray with them because I was just in that state of mind of, I am so over this. I don't want to talk about this. So I did pray. Honestly, the thing that helped me the most when I was coming out of all of that was I ended up going to lunch with our pastors, Pastor John and Amy. And it was supposed to be a lunch with just them and mom and dad. But again, me being the last child, I ended up third wheeling a lot of things. And they were talking about it. And it was actually funny timing because that's right when Ethan kind of popped into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really with that. I was like, no, there's a good age gap.
I'm too mature for him.
There's just like, but I was trying to be very like hand open with it all, about if it works and if it didn't. And Pastor Amy was like, if God could tell you the exact date that you're going to be in a relationship, you wouldn't stress out. You wouldn't be depressed about it. You wouldn't put any emotion into it because you would know. So why would you worry about it or think about it now? And I was like, that's true. But could like the date be really soon?
I think that's a fair request, God.
That's true. But like, kind of tired of being by myself. So that helped me a lot, just putting that into perspective. But I also think just knowing that it's okay to feel things and like you don't have to be perfect all the time also helped with that of like, okay, I can cry if I am really sad. Like it's fine to cry. I'm not going to like feel bad about it. Because if I don't get this emotion out, it's just going to get worse. So just cry about it. But also like,
you can cry if you want
to. Don't let that be your whole personality. I also though like I remember I had dinner once a month with one of our family friends. And I look at her as we're very similar, I guess, from what we've heard. But she's me, but a number of years in advance. So a lot of the things that I've talked to her that I've struggled with, she's like, I struggled with the same thing. And so it was really nice having her to talk to about everything. And she had, I think she was engaged, about to get married. And I was talking to her about being single at dinner. And she was like, I know people say this all the time. Like, you're really going to miss being single when you're in a relationship and married. Like, you're going to miss your time. And, like, you don't have to talk to anyone. It's all your time. And so I was like, you're right. Like, I should really try to dig into that. And, like, being single. And making plans all the time. And so I feel like the last year or so of, well, actually no, that was probably the last 2 years of being single, I was gone all the time.
Yes, you were.
I was never here. I stayed at my friend Michaela's house one night. I think I stayed at her house on Mondays. Every Monday, I would stay at her house. And then every Tuesday or Thursday or something, I would stay at my friend Hannah's house. And then I would go to dinner at PJ and Holly's house. So that's 3 nights out of the week. Like, I was never here.
I know. We were amazed if we saw you.
Yeah. So I was, and like every weekend I had plans. And so I just try to do as much as possible and really dig deep into the friendships that I had, which is probably why I have like those friendships from college, or I'm still really close with them because I gave them so much of my time. But I also at the same time was trying to escape being alone because I'm an extrovert to like the extreme. And so I hated being alone. That's changed now. I really do like being alone now. But at the time, I hated being alone because if I was alone, that meant that I had space to think and then would be reminded that I was alone. So I was never home. never here, never alone, never had to think about anything. And now I'm really glad I did that. Not that I like was trying to escape my feelings, but that I was so busy, because now I can't give that time to my friends. And when Ethan and I started dating and I got the dogs, like I really had to be home more. My friends have said, like, we never see you. Like, I didn't take for granted when you were single. Like, I really wish you were still single so you were around as much. But yeah. But it was really hard. I would say the hardest times of being single were on Saturdays when I didn't have plans, because a lot of people live at this house, especially then. Even more people lived at this house. And every Saturday, all the couples would go off and do something as a family. Mom and dad would go to the cities. Like, everyone would go and do something, and then it would just be me.
You could have gone with mom and dad and gotten a lot of free stuff.
At that time, I did not want to be with mom and dad. Yeah, I also didn't want to be asked about my life and where I was going in life.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so those were the times that it was just really hard, because you just felt, I just felt so alone. Because I was like, everyone's off, and like I want them to be able to do stuff as a family because it's Saturday. But like also I'm really lonely, but I don't want to third wheel all the time, and I don't want people to pity me and only invite me because they pity me because I'm by myself. And I didn't like share that with anybody until I was finally in one of those spaces where I was like, I'm just going to share it. And then I think I put something on Snapchat about like the worst part about having 6 siblings that are all married is Saturdays when they all leave me and I'm alone.
Which, we were supposed to know because we could read Debra's mind, right?
Yeah, but I hate doing things alone at the time. At the time, I hated doing things alone. Like, going to the store alone, hated it. I've never been to a movie by myself. I won't eat at a restaurant by myself. In college, if I didn't have anyone to go with me to dinner, guess I'm not eating. Like,
I'm just gonna fast. The food's that bad, huh? No, I just hate going by myself.
yeah. No, I wouldn't even go to the cafe by myself to like get food to go. Like, I hated being alone.
I'm starting to feel like I may err more on introverted tendencies now than you.
Well,
that's saying something.
Yeah. Now I'll go to the store alone, but I will not eat at a restaurant alone. It
is embarrassing saying table for one, please.
Yeah.
And then they just look at you like you have a sad life. But then I go, I'm married, thank you very much. And then they're like, well, why isn't she here? And then I just say, bring me to my table, please. And that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm so glad those times are done.
Amen.
But I think just allowing myself to feel my feelings helped a lot. And just knowing that like this is just a part. Like, this is just a part. And once you get your person, you'll look back and be like, that time went by so fast.
That is very true.